And it is now recording. Exercise 3G is only really 2 skills. And they're pretty simple skills too, because you technically, if you've done 3E, then you should be able to pick up on this part here. So, you are now converting percentages to a decimal or a fraction, or the other way around, decimal or fraction to percentages. This is how easy it is. Any fraction or decimals that you want to convert to a percentage. So if you want to convert to percentage, there's only one way. So fractions or decimals convert to percentages, you times by 100. Fill that in. So I'm going to write here, times by 100. So that's the first skill. Why do we times by 100? Because in the word in itself, percent, per actually means every. And cent, you think about like century or how many cents in a dollar, it's 100. So when we say percent, what they really want to measure is that for every 100, how much do you have? So when you say a fraction of, say, for example, half, right, and you want to know the percent, what they're trying to say is that what if you had half and then you had 100 of them? You have 100 of those halves, how much would you have? So you think about it. If I have 100 of them, so you can times by 100, or half plus a half plus a half plus a half plus a half 100 times. But what's half of 100? What's half of 100? 50. Which is why we know, or we've memorized it back in primary school, when I ask you what's 50%, most of you already know it's half or 0.5, right? But the logic is actually right here. It's the times 100. If you have 100 of anything, because we're always measuring in terms of groups of 100, that's what percent means. Percent means just measuring groups of 100. If you times it by 100, that will make it a percent. That's all it is. So if I had this bottle, one bottle, and I wanted to be out of 100, I just have 100 of them. That's all it is. So percentage is just the measure of groups of hundreds. So whether it's a fraction, times by 100 to make it a percentage. If it's a decimal, times it by 100 to make it a percentage. That's what it actually means. Yeah. So that is the first skill that we're going to start off with. So let's say this example 1. Example 1, convert this fraction to a percentage. You got 3/5. The same thing, 3/5. It's a fraction. If I have 100 of them, that would be my percentage. So how do you get 100 of them? Instead of doing 3 over 5 plus 3 over 5 plus 3 over 5, and you do it 100 times, that takes too long. We learned that repeated addition is actually the same as multiplication. So instead of adding it 100 times, we then do times by 100. Now you've practiced this from exercise 3B, multiplying fractions. Let's do it. 3 over 5 multiplied. Now 100 is a whole number. How do you write 100 as a fraction? Let's go with Hao-Xuan. 100 over 1. 100 over 1 is my fraction. Now, when we're multiplying fractions, remember it is top with top and bottom with bottom. So technically, you could just do this. 3 times 100 and 5 times 1, and that is your percent. Usually, I would encourage you to simplify first, though. Otherwise, your fractions can get really big. Now, let's look for numbers that you can simplify. Is there a number that's on the top versus a number that's on the bottom that you can see that can be simplified?
5 and 100.
5 and 100. And you see here, 5 and 100. There is a number that can fit into, or is a factor of 5 and 100. What's the number? 5. Very good. So let's simplify the fraction before we multiply then. So we then say, well, let's make it smaller. How many 5s fit in 5? 1. So this actually becomes 1 now. How many 5s fit in 100? 20. So this actually becomes 20 now. And your fraction ends up being 3 over 1 times 20 over 1, which is much easier than doing 3 over 5 times 100 over 1. I don't see anything else that I can simplify now. So this is when you then do top with top, bottom with bottom, because you simplified the fractions. So here we can say top with top, bottom and bottom. So 3 times 20 on the top, 60, and then 1 times 1 on the bottom. as 60%. But all I did, what was the step? The step was literally times 100. Doesn't matter what you get, whether it's a fraction or a decimal, to convert to a percentage, you just need 100 of them. That's how you get a percentage. What if I had a number and a decimal now? So let's say 4.5. Same idea. This one should be even easier than the one we just did. 4.5. If I want to make this a percentage, what do? Times by 100. That's it. You just need 100 of those 4.5s. You've got 100 of them. Whatever the result is, that is your percentage. Because percentage just means out of 100. Okay, so out of 100, how many do I have? Well, let's do this. Remember in exercise 3E yesterday? You can multiply by 100 quickly. If you've got two zeros there, and you're multiplying, which direction am I moving the decimal point again? Right or left? To the right. So we're moving to the right by how many spaces? 2, because there's two zeros. So 1, 2, this is where my decimal point goes. But what do I fill in the gap?
0.
A 0. So what's my answer? That's it. Because what this is saying is if you had 100 of those, if you did 4.5 times 100, you actually have 450 of those hundreds. You got 100 of them. And if you added them all together, 4.5 times 100, the value is 450. So 450 over 100 is what a percent means. Instead of writing 450 over 100, we write it as 450%. But that's the language. We're just always measuring in groups of 100. That's all it means. Same thing with this one. When you say 60%, what you're saying, I had 100 of those 3/5, and those 3/5, if I had 100 of them, the value of it was 60 out of those 100 3/5. Okay, so all of those hundreds, the value that 3/5 add up to is 60. That's what 60% means. That out of 100, a group of 100, the value is 60. That's how much it adds up to. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's the first skill. First skill is how do you convert fractions, decimals to percentages? And the second skill is the reverse. The reverse, which you can write in your notes on this side, if you want to convert percentages to fractions or decimals, it literally is the reverse. Well, I already know it's out of 100, right? So if it's, say, example, it was 60%, that just means 60 out of 100, but we know what this symbol means. That's 60, and what's this symbol mean? Is it add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Divide. So literally, you're just saying, take 60, divide by 100. That's all you're doing. So what was the changes? One was times 100. The other one is divide 100. That's how you convert it. So there's the other conversion. You will then divide by 100 if you want to convert a percentage to a fraction, or you want to convert a percentage to a decimal. Let's do an example. 35%. You want to convert it to a fraction? It's pretty easy. You just read it. Percent means out of 100. So you literally say, I've got 35 out of 100. That's my fraction. Usually we like our fractions smaller, so simplified. Is there a number that we can fit into 35 and 100? What's a factor? 5. 5 fits in 35 and 5 also fits in 100. So let's simplify this. How many 5s fit in 35? 7. How many 5s fit in 100? 20. So as a simplified fraction, it's 7 over 20. But let's say the question was, I didn't want you to convert to a fraction and then wanted you to convert it to a decimal. Well, from this step, just from here before, we said 35% was 35 over 100. But you just read it. 35 over 100 actually means 35 divide 100. You learnt that from exercise 3. You do know how to do 35 divided by 100. It's 0.35. Because there's two zeros. Yeah, two zeros. Divide moves to the left, and you move to the left 2 spaces. So the decimal fits just right before the 3. So your answer is 0.35 as a decimal, or as a simplified fraction, 7 on 20. But both of them, all I did was I literally read what the percentage means. Percent, per means every, cent means 100. That's all I did. I started off with saying 35 by every 100. You can move to the right to make it decimals, or you continue simplifying and you get your fraction. It's the same step throughout. Let's just divide by 100. Let's try the next one. What do you think 240% means? What is that as a fraction? Yeah, it's just 240% means out of 100. Now, if you want to convert that to a decimal, it's pretty easy. Moving to the right, that just means 240 divided by 100, which gives you, what's 240 divided by 100? 2.4. Very good. You move the decimal 2 places back, 1, 2, and a decimal is just in between the 2 and the 4. So that's converting it to a decimal. But let's say I didn't want you to convert it to a decimal. I want you to convert it to a fraction. Well, you already have the fraction. It's just not in simplest form. What number is a factor of 240 and 100 as well? We've got 5. I can find a bigger number. Notice how they both have a 0. If they have a 0, what factor? 10. So 10's a better number to start off with. So I'll do divide 10. Divide 10. 10 goes into 240 how many times? 24. 10 goes in 100 how many times? 10. Now I can see that still there's a factor that can go in 24 and 10. 2. Let's halve it. Halve it. Halve it. 2 goes into 24 12 times, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. And if you like, you can change that to a mixed fraction. Now, how do we convert 12 over 5 into a mixed fraction again? Leon?
We divide and we put the remainder numerator.
Very good. How many 5s fit in 12? We know it's 2 wholes. Remainder?
Remainder is 2.
2.
And yeah.
2 fifths. Very good. So that's literally the skill we work with. Now, the last example, I like putting it in because a lot of students get this one wrong. When I put it in a test and I say, what's 0.5%? What do you think most students would write? What's the first instinct, the first number that you're thinking of? Because I get a lot of students on this one. About 2/3 of you will write this wrong. What's the instincts when I say, what's 0.5%? What would you say the answer? 50. Most students will write 50. I bet if you gave that problem to another class, most students will write 50. There's just some connection between half and 50% that somehow students memorize it. Instead, I want you to actually think about what I've been teaching you. Percent means, boys, thanks, I'm still recording. Percent means out of 100. So literally, this actually means you got half out of 100. If you want to convert it to decimals, we all know a half. What's a half as a decimal? 0.5. So what I'm really saying there is 0.5 divide 100. What's 0.5 divided by 100? Very good. You can see it's 0.005. This is what it's actually equal to, not 50. Most students think it's 50 because you think of half and then you think of 50%. But that's not true. It's actually 0.005. Or, let's say I didn't ask you to do it in decimals and I asked you to write this as a fraction. Now my year 11s and 12s, some of them get scared to do this because they're not familiar with fraction on fraction. But if you actually break it down, this just means half. This symbol means divide 100. And suddenly, you're back to exercise 3B. Writing 100 as a fraction is 100 over 1. And like what you guys told me, to do division of fractions, KFC. So we do KFC. No, why is everything extorting the teacher? I don't make a lot of money, by the way. I'm just here to educate you. Why are we always asking him to pay for things? Keep. K for keep, the first one. So you keep the first one, it's still half. F for flip. You flip the second. And C, you change the sign. Change the sign to a multiplication sign. So it should just be half times 1 on 100. But we know how to multiply fractions already. It's top width and bottom width. So that means 1 times 1 is 1. And then 2 times 100. 1 on 200. But that problem right there, not all year 10s, 11, 12s know how to do that. It's just that visual aspect that if I gave them half over 100, they're like, oh, I have no idea how to do it. And they give up. but that's a skill that you guys would have learnt back in year 8, back in primary school. We all do know how to do division of fractions. Okay, so take your time, read it. All I've done is I've just read the percentages. I haven't done anything more special. Okay, and that's it. That's it for today. That was 15 minutes of my explanation, but that's 3G. If you want a challenge, you can have a go with the mixed fractions there. But really, if you understand what I'm saying there, you just need to convert the 1/6 into a decimal, and then you can then convert it to percentages much easier. Okay, but I'm going to leave you with the last one. I'll write the solutions at the bottom afterwards if you want to have a go. But this is your time now. You've got 15 minutes left. That's your time to either work on 3E, 3F, or if you're like the other class, some students were already studying 3G. Okay? But if you don't finish, it's okay. Monday, you'll have that half session all yours, okay, to do whatever it is you need to catch up. All right, I'm going to stop the video.